for our Kickstarter conversation this morning. And of course, we'll be looking at, something to do with 2021 elections. So the hashtag is Morning at NTV across all the social media platforms. And just in case you are stepping out, you can actually still be part of us. Yes, go to Facebook and YouTube and get the Morning at NTV live stream right there. Drop in your comments and we'll sample them as we continue. Now, the National Strategic Plan and the roadmap for the 2021 general elections was actually launched in the 11th of December in 2018. Now, the Electoral Commission set out to do a number of things and timelines were set. Now, with the election momentum building up by the day among all political parties as they gear up for the 2021 elections. Now, this morning, we do ask this critical question that you also have been asking, and this is how much, if any, has been done or has been achieved, and where are the gaps that must be addressed before we get to the big year, which is 2021.
Members of the civil society have developed a tool called the Citizens Electoral Roadmap Tracker, and to help us understand this tool works today in the studio we have Mr. Michael Aboneka from Game Changers Uganda, together with not a very familiar face here, Mr. Jonathan Tarimo, the Election Commission. Jotham Tarimo. Very, very sensitive with Jotham.
Yeah, everybody calls me Jonathan, but I was baptized Jotham.
Jotham. You see, your parents now are to blame for these things. Coming up with those.
Okay, call me Yosam.
No, we'll go with Jotham. Mr. Jotham Tarimo, the Electoral Commission spokesman. Good morning, and nice to have you here.
Good morning.
2021 elections are on the way.
Yes, they are.
How are you set?
We are set. We launched last year in November and ensured that all the stakeholders, at least the key stakeholders in the electoral process, were invited for the launch, and we shared our copy with every other key stakeholder to keep tracking our progress. I am happy that some citizens out there are tracking our progress on the roadmap. So we are preparing. Internally, as an organization, we are preparing. At every turn, we shall come out to tell you where we have reached in terms of our preparations. These are internal processes. They don't have to be publicized as they launch.
Okay.
So we are on.
There were a couple of gaps that were highlighted in this roadmap. Is there
gaps?
Is there any headway that has made through some?
Which gaps?
Well, we all remember there were a couple of things that people are not happy about, and especially when it comes to this is reference from the past elections that we have had in the country. And
no, I think what you are calling gaps is our indicative programs. One, where we were advising government and parliament to ensure that if you are going to have new units created, then we need them created in time, so that it allows the Electoral Commission enough time to plan. If there are any amendments or new laws regarding the elections in this country you want to bring on board, let those ones be done in time so that it can give us an opportunity to implement them without any hitches. So maybe that is what you may call gaps. Of course, the other issue is that we requested for funds. We faced our roadmap to make it easy for the funding authority, which is government of Uganda, to be able to release the funds in a phased manner. Okay. Now in 18-19, this is what we will be doing. This is what we will need. 19-20, this is what we'll be doing. This is what we'll need. 2020, 2021, the same thing. So that government is not burdened with a one-off overall budget to release.
Okay. Mr. Jotham, before I get to Mr. Michael, pretty much someone who's watching us today is asking, what stopgap measures has the Electoral Commission put in place to ensure that the electoral officers are not, somewhat compromised by, of course, parties that want to, maybe bribe their way through? We've seen these cases, and many were saying that could be, and even the coalitions that come into maybe, among the processes, the external, pretty much bodies, came out to say that, and this was a speculation that was done, some of these officers are ill paid. Therefore, if someone just slides an envelope, it's very easy for them to be compromised. So in terms of stopgap measures to ensure that the officials, the electoral officials, are not compromised, what is being done to tighten that end?
I think they are not necessarily stopgap measures, maybe measures. But the starting point we must all appreciate is that we are dealing with human beings. Okay? They won't show you who they are. They won't tell you they can do this. But some will do it anyway. Okay? And I don't think the solution is even the salary, the little salary. Okay? It is an issue of, it is a moral issue, I think, in my view. Well, salary, even if you gave me 20 million, I will need 30. If you gave me 1 million, I need 2. Okay? So the issue of more will never end. But the measures that are there, one is that we strictly follow our personnel manual, and there are sanctions. Mm-hmm. If you get to do something that is in contravention of our human resource manual, then we take you on. We have had some officers suspended. We have had some fired. Only that we don't publicize these actions.
Is suspension, firing someone, consequence enough?
Yeah, if somebody loses a job, what else? Do you want him to lose a life?
Not a life, pretty much, but maybe more consequences, harsher, consequences that will actually, scare them away from being involved in such.
I can tell you that if you are an employee of an organization, leave alone government, mm-hmm. and a decision is taken for you to lose that job, it is never an easy decision for you as an employee. So that is the last decision. Some of those have been taken to court. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now you're talking.
But most importantly is to sensitize our officers, but we also need support from all the stakeholders. We need support from the media in this sensitization. We need support from the politicians themselves. Yeah. Because you're going to punish an officer who has been influenced by a politician. What do you do what do you do to that politician? Okay? So it's like, these politicians come panicking and they want things done and they try to compromise our officers. I think our officers really have done a good job.
Do you take on the politicians who bribe?
Well, I thought the media would do it better than us. Suppose you are always following them.
All right, okay. Moving on to Mr. Michael. David?
Well, you have been following up on the roadmap.
Yes.
And there has been an increase in that price. What's your take? Do you see them making headway? Do you look at it as this is a list of things that people say they will do, but, well, the possibility of them being done?
Thank you, David. Just to begin, that we have to be genuine about elections. If we must have the free and fair elections in this country, we must be genuine about them. Because to start with, that the Electoral Commission is a body mandated to help us run these elections. They have set their roadmap, but there are also other players and stakeholders. Just to mention, before I get to that we remember that the Supreme Court made a number of recommendations to the Attorney General, to which we are very pertinent to the elections in 2021. And us as game changers, we raised it, wrote a petition to the Attorney General. Up to now, he has not responded. And those issues are very critical. Now, secondly, the Electoral Commission launched their roadmap, and we have been following. And actually, today we are launching what we call the Citizen Election Roadmap Tracker. That in most cases, elections are just an event in this country. We wake up and they tell you the polling day is February this date. But the outcome is as good as the process. That's why for us we started in 2018 following up on the Supreme Court recommendations. And actually, we're even thinking that can we ask that the Attorney General is in contempt of court if he has failed to come up to update court and the citizens of what has so far been done. But secondly, the Electoral Commission, so what we are going to do is we are doing an analysis as us as game changers, and game changers are individuals, activists, people belonging to several organizations, coming from SEDU, coming from wherever, others are practicing advocates like I am. But the question is, the Electoral Commission has a roadmap, and first we want to see, okay, by 30th October 2018, there was supposed to have been a cutoff of creation of new administrative units. Now you know that after the Chankwanzi resolution, there were many things to do with creating more municipalities, creating more districts. What is that going to have? What is that going to be the effect on Mr. Talemwa's roadmap and the budget? Because if you said we are only having this number of municipalities, and then others come up that they didn't plan for, it is going to distort. Then the other question is, are we genuine about governance in this country? Does the parliament, the executive, respect the Electoral Commission, respect other institutions? Because if this roadmap is presented, the Electoral Commission needs to be supported to make sure that these things happen. Now, number two is that we want to follow and say, if you were supposed to have had a cutoff of creation of these things by October 30th. Why are you bringing them now? What is the justification? And then for us, we are going to track and say, this person has done A, B, C, D, they're not supposed to do this. What are we doing next? Okay. And the reason is, quickly, is that citizens must participate in the process of the elections. In most cases, it is left to the politicians, it is left to others. And you know, Charles de Gaulle said that politics is a matter too serious to be left to politicians alone. So we can't leave it to politicians alone.
Mr. Talemwa, maybe just for you to answer an issue that he's actually raised that is quite pertinent is, you know, when we had the NRM officials go to the retreat in Chankwanzi, one of the proposals was to increase and to add more municipalities. Has the EC planned for that eventuality, whereby we get to 2021 and these municipalities were pretty much not planned for? Are you planning for that eventuality?
I think I need to be honest here.
Okay.
I was not privileged to be in Chankwanzi. I did not get here of that resolution, and I don't want to begin speculating. In the event that it actually passes, now that in the media we know that that was one of the resolutions, is the EC prepared for that? In the event that... Well, what I can only say is that we are always prepared for any number of vacancies in this country, whether it is at LOC1, whether it is at LOC3, whether it is at LOC5, Parliament, name it. We are always prepared. And we have capacitated ourselves to undertake on any election planning, irrespective of the variations in the number of offices.
Okay. Mr. Talemwa, you keep asking stakeholders to play their part.
Yes, please.
2 questions here. Are the stakeholders helping you in the parliament? Are you getting enough help from these stakeholders? And then 2, what do you expect from the citizens? You keep saying the citizens shouldn't shy away, they should be involved, they should help. What do you expect from them?
Thank you, but maybe before I get to that, if you can allow me make a response on the figures you mentioned about, because you said this time around we have seen the figures go up. But let me give you some basic statistics, because when we are doing election planning and scheduling and budgeting, we are looking at the law and then the statistics. Okay? In the last elections, we are looking at 112 districts. In this current upcoming election, we are looking at 141 districts. Okay? That means that we are having about 39 municipalities of 2016, but this time round we are looking at 80. Do you see how the variations can increase the figures? Now, the registered voters in 2016, they were about 15 plus. Now we are looking at 19 plus millions. Okay? In 2016, we are looking at about 7,500 parishes. Now we are looking at about 9,500. So all those ones, leave alone the increase in prices of goods and services since then. But all these statistics definitely bring the figure up. Okay. I wanted to clarify that. On the issue of stakeholders, I think you are helping, but I don't know if I can say it is enough. Because even this show, which you have not paid for, and we are here explaining to the citizens, you have helped us as our stakeholders. And you know, media is our very, very key stakeholder. So, the fact that we are here engaging with the public, explaining our roadmap, you are helping.
But you say it's not enough.
Well, because I expect to be back. If it was enough, I would stop this morning until we have elections.
So in other words,
it can never be enough.
You want us to have you here every morning? So.
As and when you can. As and when you can. Okay. As for parliamentarians, yes, they are helpful. They are helpful in terms of appropriation of budgets. We also hope that some of these requests we made, they will consider them on the floor of Parliament. They are also talking about the roadmap. So in a way, they are conducting voter education also, although we don't rely on theirs because theirs is at times skewed towards the individual members of Parliament.
Okay.
For the citizens,
yes,
their role is really to know what is it that they want in a candidate. That's what we want them to understand, that your vote is your ability to negotiate a service, a public service or a public good, not your individual satisfaction.
All right.
Secondly, we want them to be part of the process. Michael, my colleague here talked about election not being an event. Elections is a process. And it flows like a river, it doesn't come backwards. If we are updating the register, the next stage is we are going to display. If you have not registered, then you are not going to register because we don't have a reverse gear in elections. Okay?
All right.
So they need to participate. They don't have to leave it to us. Okay? And they also need to carry out this voter education. These messages, whoever has watched NTV should be able to tell a friend or a colleague that by the Electoral Commission is doing ABC.
All right.
Because we can't reach to everyone.
Mr. Talemwa, we are live on Facebook and we are having questions coming in for you. And Mr. Chintu Richard, he's actually asking, can the EC boss, Mr. Talemwa, categorically mention to us that the EC is non-partisan and independent? Could you answer that?
Well, our independence is guaranteed under the law. The appointment of the commission itself, the president nominates, the parliament vets. If they think Mara is partisan, they will not find your way into the commission. Our recruitment in the commission is based on public service policies. There are no appointments. Say today we have appointed Tarema. You go through a rigorous interview process and you qualify. Okay. So I can confidently say that we are impartial, delivering on our constitutional mandate.
So how do you explain the speculations of rigging, especially in 2016? A lot of that was actually said.
You know, Mara, there are people who are not going to be interested in the process and they are going to criticize it. In 2013, we launched this roadmap, which we launched for 2021. Then we launched for 2016, 2013. The following day, on Monitor's headline, it was 2016 general elections already rigged. The person who made that allegation and made the headline on that day was not even in the meeting. We invited him. So we asked, if you think they are going to be rigged, point out a gap where you think some officials of Electoral Commission or some people in a ruling party, they are going to exploit to rig in their favor. So it is a perception issue. And you know, elections is an emotional business. By the time you go to compete, you have convinced yourself that, by the way, I'm the right candidate for this election. Now, beyond your own conviction, you have convinced a colleague or family members. So you have convinced everybody that you are the right candidate. The moment you don't make it, now the reverse tell your people that, by the way, I wasn't able to make it. By the way, I was not the right candidate. Because by the fact that you have lost, it means you are not the right candidate. Now, psychologically, we accept that in the first case, you were not the right candidate for that office. It is hard. So you must find an excuse. You must convince people who thought you were the right candidate. So, by the way, I should have made it, but these election people made it difficult for me.
Come 2021, do we have an avenue where the EC will be seen to be responsive to whistleblowing? Maybe the citizens who think that candidate X is actually being involved, you know, in unrightful acts of probably voter rigging or voter intimidation. Do we have those avenues?
We have had it before. One is that even in these by-elections we have been conducting, we install toll-free lines, and we publicize these toll-free lines. If you get to see something happening, please call us.
And
we set up a query desk.
Okay.
You can call at no cost and say, I have seen here Taremwa is doing ABCD. Please rush.
Response rate?
We respond. We respond. Immediately we respond, and even include in the book our responses. You can verify.
Okay.
So we have it, but you know, I don't know if it is corruption or what. It is not easy to find people because it involves two people. You and her can agree to share something in the night. Nobody will see it. People will know it happens, but they won't point out any material evidence to follow upon. But if we are able to see and confirm that something is happening, we will immediately respond. Because we have supervisors from parish, from sub-county, then district, then national. We have supervisors. And their job during elections is to supervise and monitor the polling process and ensure that everything goes as it should. But the players, what I notice the challenges we have is that Electoral Commission is supposed to be doing this. Me, my role is limited to voting. If you see something and you don't respond, then you go complaining about the Electoral Commission. It is all of us involved, and we must work together to ensure that we have a smooth and transparent election.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much. Michael, as we wrap up, 2021, 2020-2021, 1.5 million representatives are going to be voted. You are the person on the sides watching these people and their roadmap. So far, this far,
yes.
Are we ready?
We are not. We are not ready, and it's unfortunate because one, the electoral reforms has been sung since the 2016 elections up to now. They are gathering dust at the shelves of Parliament and other places. There was the Citizens Compact, which was after result of the citizens across this country agreeing and saying these are the electoral reforms we will have. The National Consultative Forum, which actually NRM is part, also came up with about 35 electoral reforms. They are still on the desk. The only thing that was done last year is to add the word independent on the Electoral Commission. And then they also added themselves municipalities. That is, they are rewarding themselves. We need to be genuine if we are going for 2021 elections. And sometimes I say that if we are saying that we cannot manage elections, we cannot get the fruit of it. Why should people die? Why should houses be broken into? Why should families be broken because of elections? If we can't manage, let's get back to our chiefs and we'll be happy. Because we spend a lot of money, over 13 trillion shillings, put together by Electoral Commission, by those who are running for elections. People are broke after elections. They run for bailouts. There is no government policy. It is a mess. Why do we go for elections if we're not ready for it? So the question is that we are still not ready. We are happy for the roadmap, but there are also other stakeholders.
Okay.
We want them to heavily invest into this election if we must have it.
Mr. Taremwa has a burning
He's burning. We're coming to a close there. In 1 second, you can answer.
Well, with these electoral reforms, it is like saying we want to have chicken and you have goat meat, okay, for supper. So if somebody is calling for chicken and for you have goat meat, it does not mean that you are not going to eat and get satisfied. Okay, so with or without some of those talked about reforms, elections have a legal framework that is good enough to conduct them. So I think we should not worry that not so much has been done, because even citizens, they come with wishes. We want to see this. Some of them are realistic, some are not, just for guidance purposes. But I also want to say that Parliament has considered some of the recommendations from the Supreme Court, like on the period for filing the presidential petition.
And they're going to be taken out.
So those ones, you need to interest yourself in what those reforms have been considered and those that are remaining. But it's not true that all of them have been ignored. Just to make that comment.
Unfortunately, time doesn't allow us, but like Mr. Jotham said, he wants to come here every single morning. So when time allows, we will definitely have him back here. Mr. Jotham Tarima, the Electoral Commission spokesperson, thank you very much for coming. Michael Abonika from Game Changers, you two need to sit down and have a cup of tea and compare notes and compare notes and see if make sure that
and of course he will pay.
Thank you very much for joining us. That's what we had for Kickstart. Of course, the conversation still goes on our social media platforms. The hashtag is morning at NTV. If you have any feedback, you can put it right there and we'll look into it, and hopefully we will refer to that the next time we have Mr. Taruma back in studios. Morning at NTV continues. Good morning.
Play and win every 10 minutes. For every 1,000 you spend, it gives you 1 entry into the jackpot this Sunday.
On MTN, simply dial *165*33#. That's *165*33#. Then enter your 3 lucky numbers. Then enter your 1,000 shillings. And on Airtel, dial *185*33#. That's *185*33#. Then enter your 3 lucky numbers. Then enter your 1,000 shillings and get that super feeling today.
There are many problems in the world, and there are many people with solutions. These solutions do not come from far.
You don't need money to innovate. All you need is this.